Afternoon, beautiful day in Green Bay. Unlike the crazy winds we had yesterday. I like the hash browns. And the Met manager is a Yankee bench coach, and the Phillies manager is a Yankee bench coach. So, good playoffs. Any questions you may have? We okay to start? I know you just came here. We good?
5. Lombardi time or 5 minutes early?
I'm always early.
Neverson said that he could see it, you could see it, LaFleur could see it, that there was just a little bit of a issue with his placement of his feet, I think he said. Is that how you saw it? I mean, how did you view it, and how do you correct it? Is it
Well,
easy?
it was, like he said, it's an issue with his plant foot is what it was. And, you know, credit to him, to be honest with you. I think he stood in front of all your cameras after the game and took the lion's share of the responsibility. So we lost by 2. He missed, 2 kicks. So he's had a real good week of practice. Yesterday was a interesting win, to say the least. He's practiced really well. He's kicking straight balls on the PATs, and he missed 2 field goals in the game that we'd love to have back, but it's certainly in the rearview mirror. And we're moving forward, and we'll see what this week brings.
Richard, you been in that stadium?
I have, yeah. When I was with the Raiders, we played over. No, it's a great venue to play in. The weather's going to be nice. It's interesting because you feel like you're in a dome, but you're not. The sides are all open. But I think weather-wise, there was a little bit of a breeze. We played a Monday night game, a little bit of a breeze at the one end, but it really has never been. I think I've been there 3 times. It's never been anything excessive in any way. So it's a beautiful venue.
They haven't returned many punts, but they have had a couple big returns on those punts. What have you seen from that unit?
Yeah, they've been through a couple different return guys, and now they have, Smith back there, and he had the 38-yarder against San Francisco that he actually caught in the red zone. They did a really good job on it, and he got the boundary, and it actually put him in position to hit, the winning field goal. In the 49er game, they faked a punt, I think, on 4th and 6, and ended up getting a first down that continued to drive for him as well. So I think Chase Blackburn's done a really good job of working with the culture there, and their play style has become a little bit more like he's played. I believe they have 7 rookies on their kickoff team right now. So they have a lot of young guys. They look like they're extremely hungry. I feel like the culture is changing. Again, Chase was a heck of a player in the league, and he's been there a few years now, and I think they're starting to play a little bit of his mentality and his play style. They have a rookie kicker who's played well. I think he's missed 1. The punter's in his 2nd year. He has an arsenal of different punts. In the red zone, he plays with a pretty good flop, and he hits a fat ball, which makes it difficult to catch, and he can hit the long ball as well. So this will be a good challenge for us. We're excited to go play.
Is that the first drop kick that you've done for an onside kick, and it wasn't a good kick in that instance, but is that something that you think you would return to?
Yeah, I mean, he's really actually pretty good at it. He got our guy with it in practice the other day, and it wasn't that bad of a kick. It actually bounced off of him and went back out in front. But, with the rule the way it is now, I don't know if you guys saw the Monday night game, and I explained that to you guys about 3 weeks ago, about that new rule. You get the ball at the +20, and everybody seemed to think no one knew the rule, except the guy didn't catch it. So obviously on the Titans, he knew the rule. Right, so you have a few more options when he has the ball in his hand to do that, and he's been pretty good at the drop kick. That one didn't go well. I think there's only been 1 recovery so far this year on onside kicks. I think Dallas did it twice in 1 game and got 1 of them. So it's a hard play to make.
Is the idea for it to take a high hop at some point?
Well, I think it's a little bit more of a spin action to it. You know, it's going to hit the ground first, and not the high hops have become actually easier to field. The guys in front block, and the guy behind makes a catch behind the blockers. So we were hoping to get a little bit of a kick out or a kick off spin to it after it hit off the guy. So it didn't go our way.
Let me understand how you get to that point. Had you ever done that in, as long as you've been a special teams coordinator in the league, had you ever called one of those or done one of those?
Drop kick? Yeah, we've done it before. It's been done over the last few years. You know, since I've been here, it's been done. You know, guys have put the ball on the ground, they've run a spin. Guys have hit drop kicks. Other teams are doing it. Some of them do it with their kicker, some of them do it with their punter. So we have a bunch of them on tape. But Daniel's actually pretty good at it. He can actually drop kick to the goalpost too.
Speaking of things he's pretty good at, what did you see in real time from the sideline on his punt that was muffed and you guys recovered? And then what did it look like when you watched it back?
Well, when you watch it back, I mean, I think the wind caught it right there at the end, and you know that was their number 2 guy. Powell had gotten banged up and wasn't back there, and the number 2 guy went in there, and Daniel knew he had the wind and knew he was singled on both sides, so I think he felt like he could get a really good punt off. You know, I know it was before the end of the half, but we only have that. We have one play, right? One chance to make a difference, and they're thinking the same thing. So I think knowing that he had the wind, they're trying to set up for some sort of possibly a return to maybe get to midfield or somewhere where he could possibly take a shot at a kick. But when he hit it, I knew he got a good hit coming out of there, and he actually had a little pressure inside. But I felt like we were going to win the matchup on the outside. Obviously, Bo did a great job going down there. But I saw when the kid, once he backed up and put his hands up, looks like it's going to be a little bit of an issue, you know. So it just ended up being a heck of a punt, and then certainly he got his hands on it. It was a really good play by Bo to pick it up, give us a chance to get some points before the half.
Last week, I think you said it's part of your job to make sure Keyshawn doesn't get too frustrated.
Yeah.
Another 6 touchbacks, I think 16 to 17. You guys would have liked it to be 17 out of 17. How is his frustration level and how he's dealing with it?
Yeah, I think, you know, I've tried to teach Keyshawn that frustration is kind of a wasted emotion, right? There's a part in there, the definition of frustration is if you can't change it. It's going to change sooner or later. And I think the thing we're trying to really work hard on are the blocks in front. You know, I think we've had an opportunity now in pads last 3 Thursdays to practice kickoff return in pads, and hopefully those guys up front are getting better. And I think Keyshawn's made really good team decisions back there, not to take it out. A couple of them have been 3 deep or 4 deep, where I think in the past we would have probably taken some of those out. You know, he took the kick out in Philadelphia because I told him to. You know, that was my fault, and I did a bad job with that, and we didn't do a very good job on the block. So I think his time will come, and I think he'll keep making really good team decisions back there, and we'll see what happens as the weather changes.
Good.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Feels like we just saw you yesterday. These weeks go fast, huh? Oof. All right, what do we got?
Jeff, how challenging is it, speaking of Rashawn specifically, Rebs was in here yesterday talking about how much attention other teams give him, whether it's double teams or thumps. How challenging is it to still game plan ways to get him opportunities when teams are doing that to him?
I think it goes back and forth, right? We got to move them around, and we got to see how teams are going to come out and protect against us, and then counter that and change things up in the game. If they're doing one thing to take them away, we got to find another way to get them involved. And then if they're going to try to find ways to take him away, then we have to have our other guys show up, or we have to scheme other ways to pressure opposite them and do a bunch of things schematically, which I think you guys kind of saw last week, right? We went into the game and, we didn't get as much pressure early, and I think it started to show up pretty much on second and third down in the second half of that game. But we'll continue to work and do some things with him where I think you're going to see him have success.
You talked a lot about TFLs going into the season. Where do you think you are there? What do you? I don't think the numbers are real high. How do you think you're doing there? And what does anything need to change there?
I think we're getting into some good second downs. We've been in a lot of get back on track situations where you get them in second 8+, and you're forcing teams to throw the ball on second down, and we can get after them a little bit. I think you saw that a lot in the second half of the game against the Vikings, and you saw it a lot the second half against the Titans, which allows us to kind of ramp it up if we win first down. I mean, you got to pick and choose, right, how aggressive you're going to be on early downs. But we want to win those early downs so we get ourselves in those situations on second. I think I know we've played better against the run, and we're continuing to improve that way. I don't know where the numbers are. I mean, you have the numbers for TFLs? I don't. So I'd have to look at those, but, hopefully we'll keep being aggressive up front and we get more and more. But I don't have that. I couldn't tell you the exact number of those right now.
2 yards or less is a successful first down.
Yeah, we get 2 yards or less and getting them in the second and 8, and we feel pretty good about that. We'd rather have them get no yards, but that doesn't always happen. It depends on the down and distance, right? 1st and 10, we'd like to get them in the second 7+ as much as we can, because normally teams have a pretty high tendency in what they're going to do versus 2nd and 3, 4, 5, or 2, right? So we'll continue to do that. I know we've played better on first down as we've progressed throughout the season, and that's been very important to us to change up the looks.
Jeff, just what have been your impressions on Kenny Clark and how he's played just up to this point in the year?
I love Kenny. Practices hard every day. We played him a lot of snaps in the last game. I think he's helping us in the run game a lot. And I think we can do more things to help him get more production in the pass game. And some of that is who we've played in our first 4 games. I mean, I think everybody, last week we're up here and we're asking how we got 8 sacks, and now I'm sure everybody wants to know why we didn't get 8 more last week. I wish we had 9. I mean, that's how our league is, right? We got to keep those going. I think Kenny's done a good job. I think he's one of the best interior D linemen in the NFL, and I think as this thing shakes out, everybody's going to continue to see that. And I can say that with confidence.
Jeff, what's the key to defending screens? Is it often play call versus play call, or is it more, are there things, like you could have done better physically in the Vikings game when, Jones got out on some of those screens?
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at each screen individually. I mean, in one screen, we're in a 2-high shell, and we should have 2 players vice it. On another one, we were in man coverage, and whoever had that guy in man stepped up and didn't cover his man out, and we should have been all over that one. And then there's coverages where you might be pushing a coverage over, and you're left 1-for-1 on the backside of a screen, and it's not a really good call, right? So you can find yourself, like there's certain down and distances where, all right, I got a good feeling a screen is coming, and you can be dialed into it, and they can still block it up, but you got more people around the ball to give yourself a better chance to get the ball down. Then there's some that kind of surprise you a little bit in different field zones and different down distances where they haven't run them as much. And the key is, a lot of the time, the key is the retrace of your defensive line, right? If you watch around the league, you watch the explosives right now around the league, not just in our games, which I try to watch and see how people are getting attacked and how people are giving up big plays and what are people doing to get those big plays. The number one thing that's coming up right now is screens. So they're not easy to defend. There's no like, yes, we called this against the screen and it's an automatic win. If they're executed really well, one of our guys has to win. You got to have someone set the edge, force it back inside, and then you got to have your D-line and everybody else retrace and run. They're good calls on offense. And now we've defended some really well. We've defended some of the same screen really well, and we've defended some of them not so well. But certainly the retrace, the recognition, myself trying to recognize it to help our team be in better position to defend it. And then by down and distance and field position, you got to try to be dialed in.
You never know what side they're going to, right? I mean,
It's a good question, right? Because, I mean, I study those screens all the time because there are some formation tendencies week to week. There are some motion tendencies week to week. But what do good offenses do? They're going to hide it. They're going to end up in the formation, but they're going to play with our players' eyes, and they're going to move a guy and shift a guy, and all of a sudden it's going to be the formation we thought it was coming in, but you didn't really see it until you turn on the film the next day because it happened so fast, right? So field zones, down and distance, who's in the backfield, execution. I mean, they're good plays, but it's clearly something I've thought a lot about too.
What couldn't you do that you might have wanted to do if you had Jair last week?
I'm not going to go down that road. I think it's a fair question, but, I trust and have faith and confidence in all the players that we put out on the field, and we'll always do so.
And so late in the week, was there things you had to adjust to, though, that maybe you had planned that you were going to do that you didn't do?
I mean, those are just excuses. We got a good staff, and we're confident in the players we have, and, the plan was the plan, and but my mind doesn't work like that.
Other stops in the league, how long do you think it's taken to get a really good feel for your personnel?
That's a great question. I think you're going to continue to learn them as the season goes, especially as injuries happen and you have guys playing new positions, right? You have different guys playing with each other. I just think it takes some time, and I think it takes some time for those guys all to gel. But at the same time, the coolest thing from last week, and this kind of is going off, you just gave me a thought. I learned a lot about our personnel last week. I learned more about our personnel last week than I learned the first 3 games of the season, and that most teams don't learn. Our personnel and ourselves were down 28-0. I don't know, you ever get punched in the gut and feel like you're going down? And our guys got back up, and they responded, and we came all the way back, and we were a touchdown away from winning the game, and we gave up 3 points in the second half. So what I learned about our personnel is they believe in what we're doing, and they believe in each other, and they're never going to quit. And that's very rare, very, very rare. So as far as learning who our people are and how they have to play and what they do really well, I think that's going to be, we're going to continue to find that out. But finding out who our defense was and what those guys were made at when you're standing in front of them at halftime and you're losing by 21 points or whatever it was, and they don't blink, I think we found out exactly who we are, and that should excite everybody, because I don't think that happens, especially with a young team and a new group of guys.
Sean, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but he mentioned he thought he's been blitzing more now than maybe he did all of last season. Is that a staple with your scheme, or is there something about him that you really like that lends itself to him doing some of that kind of stuff?
I think he's a good blitzer. He's aggressive, and I think he's improved at it. If you, again, you show signs of a guy improving. You remember in the Philly game when he almost sacked the quarterback and they completed the ball down the sideline? He had a chance there to get the ball out. And what did he do in the last game? It's the same exact thing. He went, you see it violently, he went right for the hand of the quarterback and got the ball out. So he's fast, he can accelerate, he's aggressive. I think it was a really cool step if you show us back-to-back the progress he's made. And then it all just matters what pressures we want to run each game. But when you have a guy who's a capable blitzer, I mean, let's blitz the guys who can blitz, you know? So I think both.
This is probably a stupid question, but on the play on their last field goal drive when Jefferson gets the one for 27, when he runs the crosser and then the tight end runs the crosser from the other side, do you coach like Stokes in that instance to go under it or over it, or how hard are those to defend, and how do you counter when other teams are probably going to try that similar thing against you guys now?
When he just kind of took off and ran across the field?
And it looked like, maybe you missed something, but it looked like Stokes just got caught up in the cluster there, and that's why he was so open on the 27-yarder.
Yeah, I mean, one, we're in man, right? And if you're defending a guy and he's just running away from you, I mean, could he have played it better? I'd have to go back and watch the exact clip and try to figure out exactly what he should have done better. Was it his alignment? Should he line up more inside? Was he outside? Did he get rubbed? I mean, those are hard to cover, right? And we had a pressure on there, to be very truthful, and we didn't hit the pressure fast enough, and we didn't hit the pressure right where that shouldn't be able to get across the field. So it ties in. If you're gonna take a shot and send a pressure and play man, that's a hard down for him to run 25 yards across the field with one of the best wide receivers in this league, right? So it's got to tie into the pressure and the rush there, so that thing doesn't get off. That's a hard down for him. He could have played it better. We could have blitzed better.
You're at 22 tackles for loss, in case you were wondering.
Okay.
I don't know, good or bad through 4 games.
I'd have to look at the rest of the league to have something to compare it to. You found that pretty.
I think.
How many?
6.
Wyatt
think,
does?
Yeah.
That's a good job by Wyatt.
Look, I'm looking to get after Rashawn with this question, but at the same time, so you're talking about how you can do better things, the other guys can, but with the status that he has and the expectations that he has, there's expectations for him too, right? And both from himself and from everybody around him. I mean, the elite guys get chipped all the time. They get thumped all the time. So how do you challenge him, and how much more do you need from him, even with everybody else doing their part to help him be more productive?
We can challenge him all we want. If you know RG, I think he's going to challenge himself, right? I mean, I don't think RG is going to sit here today and tell you that his production is where he wants it to be, right? And it's the same for me. So I look at that hand in hand. I mean, we need to get more out of him, and he needs to get more out of me. I mean, that's just the facts, right? So we need to work together on that, and I think you're going to see that this week. I'd be very disappointed if we didn't. But there's no, RG doesn't need anybody to challenge him. He gets it, and he understands that for sure. I mean, I want all these guys to have production. I mean, that's like the two things that I told you guys about. The only thing, tackles for loss, the numbers, they are what they are. Sacks, the numbers, truthfully, they are what they are. You want to look at yards, you want to look at this, all that's great. I just want to win. And I want each player to have as much success as they can, because I want to help them in their futures, and I want them to have success. Those are the things that are important to me. So the fact that RG's not having that success, that bothers me. I'm not mad at him for it. I'll be mad at myself. Let's help him, let's coach him better, let's help him better, and then he's got to go do it. And I totally believe that he will, and we'll do a better job with him.
So the league lead is 27.
Okay, so how many do we have?
22. So you already know that, basically.
All right. Well, I appreciate you finding that out for me.
So obviously we've talked a lot about X.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about Evan Williams, getting him on the field. We haven't talked a lot about Bullard, though. Just seems to be kind of a steady kind of guy. What have you seen of him through 4 games?
I think he's done a really good job, and we've asked him to do multiple things. I think he had a really good second half last week. He hit a couple pressures. He had a couple TFLs were big-time plays. We got to get him around the ball more. Like, you want to talk about what I can do better? I can put him closer to the football in certain ways because he's really good when he's close to the football, and we need to get him more involved, right? I think he's having a really good first 4 games, and I think you'll steadily see him do more and more. Evan Williams is a guy that we got on the field more last week, and I think you're going to continue to see him play more. He's very intelligent. He's starting to practice at a higher level. He's good at communicating. He can play the deep zones really well, and I think he's a good tackler. So hopefully we'll see him more. And then the last one you asked was about X. I mean, I think X right now is the best safety in the league. So that's how I feel about him.
Jeff, I was talking to Quay the other day, speaking of guys that are getting better. I mean, it looks like he feels like he's really starting to make incremental success. What are you seeing from him, and how vital is that to have him starting to really take off in this?
Yeah, and it's kind of like 2 weeks ago, you guys asked me about Quay, and I kind of beamed with confidence. It's kind of how I feel about RG right now, right? It's kind of how I feel about our whole defense right now. I told this to Quay today. I watch Quay in practice right now. He's moving faster. He's more comfortable. He sees it better. He knows the calls. Like, there was a specific example of there was a down and distance where before I even called it in practice, he knew what I was going to call. And I kind of smirked, and I was like, all right, now we're – like, that's big. Like, that says a lot because he's dialed in, and he really is starting to see it and think faster. But just the way he moves around right now, and in the way he practices, I think he's getting better every day. Like, I'm really excited, and then like, it's not coach speak. It's like I see it. So I'm excited to see what he continues to do. And he deserves it because he's working so damn hard.
Cooper's pursuit of the ball after the fumble, did that open your eyes, or do you see that in practice too? How quickly he got to that ball?
He can accelerate at a really high level. I mean, he can fly. He's another guy. I mean, he got a little bit banged up in that game, or he was going to play more and more and more, which is what we need from him. He is a dynamic athlete who's highly instinctual and is physical. It's just like we've talked about. He missed the preseason, right? And now he's kind of been in and out. We need to go. He needs to be healthy, and he needs to practice, and we need him to play. And I'm excited about that when it happens. Anybody else?
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, guys.
Sean Ryan was kind of that 6th guy earlier this year. You said if you're going to be that 6th guy, you need to work at all 3 positions on the interior. Are you having Jordan Morgan, since he seems to be the 6th guy now with what Sean's done, is he working at multiple positions now?
Well, right now we're just trying to get him back to playing. So not right now. No, he's not.
This is year 2 for Tom, where he's the guy at right tackle. After a good season last year, how have you seen him progress even more so far this year?
Yeah, he's been solid. You know, I think he's taken some steps forward in the run game. There's some areas where he's been pretty good at the point of attack. Gets pretty good movement. But yeah, pass pro, he's just a reliable guy out there. You know, no matter who you put out there, he seems to be productive and just hold that edge pretty well. And yeah, it's just been very impressive.
What do you see with Ryan as opposed to when he was going in and out of the game, and now he gets kind of into the flow every series? Have you seen an improvement, or?
Yeah, he definitely, his last game was the best game that he's played. He did a good job, and I'm excited for him. You know, he's stepped up every time we needed him to, and he's definitely showing some improvements, playing with better pad level, being physical, and also being a reliable pass protector. I think that was one of his bigger issues, was that, so he's doing a good job. Yeah, Yeah, no penalties. That's good too.
So that's 2 games in a row where it's been his best game, you said? Because I
Yep.
think you said that last
Yep.
week too.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's definitely been playing pretty well.
Hey, Steno, obviously Reed has been extremely productive for you guys.
Yeah.
But I guess, and maybe I'm just the only one, but I was really taken aback by what he did after the touchdown at the end of the half, where he like was super demonstrative and trying to get the, and so when I was talking to him about that this week, he's, apparently that's a really big emphasis for him. Do you see that energetic nature from him all the time? And what does that do for you guys offensively?
Yeah, I see it when he's on the field. Yeah, you know, he's a pretty low-key guy, you know, in the locker room and everything like that, in the meeting room. But on the field, he's a wild man, you know, and he gets the ball in his hands. He wants to make plays. He wants to be explosive. And you can obviously see that in his play. Anytime he gets the ball, he's got a potential to score. So he's a fun guy to be around, fun guy to coach. And, yeah, I mean, you definitely see that fire, that intensity, you know, and that focus with him when he's out in the field for sure. I thought at that time, you know, the way the game was going, I think we just needed something to go our way, you know what I mean? And we had that play on the special teams, and then obviously getting that touchdown was huge before half.
Notice him, because I asked Matt that, and he's like, I was not looking. He didn't see it. But did you notice that from up above, or?
Yeah, I just saw he was trying to, you know, just get everyone going, and I think he was pretty frustrated with how everything was going, as we all were. So, yeah, I'm sure that had a part of it too.
Sticking with Reed, but what's made him such a good deep threat? I mean, like, he's not like those big guys, and not that he's not fast, but he's not like kill fast. So it doesn't seem like he would have that kind of quality that he's had.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. He's got elite speed, and I think he does a good job running routes and like just feeling leverage as a DBs and putting himself in the best position to break off angles to find the voids. But yeah, I think his speed's the number one thing that really helps him just get past the defenders, get past the safeties, and be able to make those plays down the field. And he has some really strong hands. So yeah.
Steno, on one of Wicks's drops Sunday, he punched the turf, and I think one in Brazil, he might have reacted similar that way. Is that a good thing, you know?
Well, you know, sometimes you're like, hey, just, you know, don't show emotion and stuff like that. But I think he was just frustrated. Again, like how the game was going, and he had a couple of drops. And I'll tell you what, there's not one guy, you know, that has better hands than Wicks. So I think he expects himself, obviously, to make those plays, as we all do with him. But, yeah, it's just something he's got to work through. And I have all the confidence in the world that he'll make those plays when they come up again, because he has usually got some pretty good hands.
Is there any teaching points to the one in the end zone when the guy was kind of tugging at his shoulder a little bit and it hit him in the chest? The deep ball down the right sideline. Is there anything you can teach him in that situation?
Yeah, I think basically just go up with strong hands, and, you know, he's got to, we hope he makes that play, like we really do. Come down with the ball, and I think he expects to go make that play too. And obviously that would have been a big one for us to put us back in the game. But, you know, it's, again, just things you got to learn from, just playing with strong hands and fighting through contact. We knew, you know, with how those DBs play, you're going to have to fight through contact a lot, and that's the nature of the beast.
I don't know how much stock you put in different Pro Football Focus things, but they have him as the #1 receiver in the league through 4 weeks in terms of their metrics of getting open. He's open like 82% of the time.
Yeah.
Do you see that as?
I don't look at any of that PFF stuff,
Okay.
but that doesn't surprise me with just the way he runs routes, his ability to double people up, his ability to get out of cuts with speed. He's a threat. Like, he's an excellent route runner, and he's shown that so far this year for sure.
So you couple his ability to get open with if his hands are what they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a problem. Definitely a problem for defenses for sure. And
Yeah.
if you look like his production, his last 8 games or something like that, he's had 7 touchdowns or something. So, I mean, he's getting that production, but, you know, he catches those balls, it might be crazy, you know what I mean? So we just got to get him to that point, and, yeah, we'll have some fun.
The Rams are one of the top pressure defenses in the league. What have you seen from a group that seems to have gotten by without Aaron Donald, at least from that regard?
Yeah, they do a good job, in particularly on 3rd down. getting pressure with the quarterbacks the last few games. They really come into, you know, finding their right rush package that they like. They do a good job with picks and twists. Bringing 5, their DBs, you know, will get on the receivers, play some tight coverage, make it hard to find some windows. So we got to do a good job getting open. We got to do a good job, you know, blocking those twists that they run up front, because they've had some success getting after the quarterback on third down for sure.
How's Josh Jacobs handled the, or responded to his lack of opportunities last week?
Yeah, I mean, that, you know, I don't really, I saw someone said in the media, asked them about that, and it's one of those games where, like, you know, you look up and you're down 28-0, and basically the run game gets put to the, you know, the back burner. You really don't have an opportunity to get all that stuff set up, so I wouldn't read into that too much. You know, he's obviously a guy that we want to feed as much as possible, because as you've seen as games go on, he just keeps getting better and better. But the way that game played out, we really didn't have an opportunity to do any of that stuff, which was disappointing. But it is what it is, and we just got to make the most of it and move on.
He's got a strong track record catching the ball too. I mean, he's got a
Yeah, he caught some plays in the backfield and all that stuff, and, you know, but when you're getting into 2-minute mode and just trying to go fast, there's not a lot of plays, I guess, that you have set up just for the halfback, you know, to go out there and make plays other than just catching checkdowns.
Is his pass pro good enough to help you in those 2-minute situations?
Yeah, oh yeah, he did when he put his hat on the right guy, he did a great job. So, yeah, I trust Josh back there for sure, blocking. Him and Emmanuel, they both did a really good job in pass protection.
With those stunts and twists that you mentioned the defense doing, is that all just reacting on the fly for the offensive line?
Yep, that's why it's so important. You know, those guys are always working together, working on picking up those twists, working on communication, all that stuff. Yeah, that's what makes it hard, is they do a good job. They run 3-man games, 2-man games, all that stuff where, yeah, it takes a lot of coordination up front to get those things picked up.
Your red zone had been pretty bad the first few weeks. You got back on track though last week. What did you like about that phase of it?
Yeah, you know, well, the first drive we got down and had a penalty that kind of took us back. But then after that, I felt like we played pretty clean down there. And I think that's been the thing so far this year that's kind of set us back, is some penalties and some drops, you know, stuff like that, where a fumble, things like that, where we're getting our opportunities, but we're just not finishing drives. And that's the one thing offensively we still need to focus on, is finishing drives with touchdowns, eliminating penalties. Those big things will really help us be more productive on offense for sure.
And there was a play where Love rolled out, or he kind of escaped a little bit of pressure, and then Greenard, I think, gave him a really good shot as he released the ball. Do you remember that play?
Yeah.
Is there anything, you know, up front that they could have done to prevent that, or is once he's on the run like that, is there nothing you can really?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do kind of once he gets outside the pocket, you know, other than just hustle to the ball and try and, if any other guys are pursuing, just try and get in their way. But no, as you get out there as a quarterback, you're looking downfield, and then once you feel that contact coming, you got to get rid of the ball, whether it's throwing it out, dirting it, you know, finding a receiver downfield, whatever it is. So, yeah, not a whole lot.
How has Jordan looked in practice this week? And you can't say limited because he wasn't
No,
limited
he was
today.
not. I just found out he was a full participant, so he looked good. Yeah, he looks good. And, you know, he got plenty of opportunities to throw the ball this last game and just kind of get back into the groove. And I think as the game progressed, you saw him, you know, just look better and better and better. So that was good. And he's looked great in practice. So, yeah, I'm just excited to move forward and keep it rolling. Good. All right. Thanks, guys. See you.